There are plenty of Enlist E3 soybeans. But these beans are turbocharged with elite germplasm for greater performance. So when harvest comes, your yields are off to the races. Introducing Pioneer brand A-Series Enlist E3 soybeans with exclusive high-performing DNA like no other.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. Hey, thanks so much for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a part of your workday. And, of course, also a big shout out to everybody listening out there on the RealAg Radio podcast. Well, it's the Farmer Rapid Fire today because it is Thursday, and the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. You know, for more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet local challenges across the country. With new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist E3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies, they've all just really work towards maximizing your yield potential. Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. It is great to have Pioneer Seeds Canada board as the Farmer Rapid Fire sponsor for 2023. Our list of farmers here today is it's a fun one. We actually have a newcomer. We got a rookie to the Farmer Rapid Fire. We'll be talking to Chuck Amyot. He is from New Liskeard, Ontario, up in Northern Ontario. We've got Dan Petker from Norfolk County. We got Wade McAllistair from Penhold, Alberta, and we've got Tamara Carter from Lacadena, Saskatchewan, filling out the rancher side of the equation for today's group. We'll also hear from our show sponsor, Pioneer Seeds Canada, by hearing from Derwyn Hammond. He's the Pioneer agronomist out in Manitoba, Western Manitoba, I should say. So great group of people. We'll find out how everyone's making out in their fields and their barns and what is happening. And hopefully, it feels like the entire country, besides a few little pockets, is kind of cheering for some rain. It really feels that way. Boy, did New York get some smoke, and look out. It looks like the U.S. is sending firefighters now. Like, it's all of a sudden the forest fires have been going to Canada all spring, and now, because New York's got smoke, now it's all over the news. If you have any feedback on today's show, send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com, or you can also call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. One of the things you can provide us with feedback on is we're going to be asking all of our farmers if, in the last few months, if they changed their grocery buying habits. There's evidence that Canadians have. They've been spending actually less on groceries, while food prices have been going up, which is a little bit odd, according to Stats Canada. So we'll find out if our farmers fit into that equation as well. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to start the Farmer Rapid Fire in Northern Ontario with Chuck Amyot right after this quick break.
We have the financial tool you're looking for. An advance payments program, Cash Advance from CCGA, is a low-cost farm financial tool that can help cover your spring working capital needs. Borrow your first $350,000 interest-free, with the rest at prime less 0.75%. Apply on over 50 commodities. Call our experienced team or visit ccga.ca. Cash advances are made under the Government of Canada's Advance Payments Program.
How's your seed quality? What should you treat with? What about herbicide carryover and environmental concerns? Spring is here, and you've got a lot of things to think about in regards to your pulse crop. The Pulse School on Real Agriculture has information and advice for all these questions and more to help you navigate this season. Brought to you by BASF. Pulse School episodes are available at pulseschool.com, realagriculture.com, or as a podcast on your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
Infuse some energy into your next corporate event, customer meeting, or conference with RealAg Radio, Canada's national agriculture radio show. Create a unique experience at your next event with host Shaun Haney, broadcasting RealAg Radio live on SiriusXM, featuring exciting guests, captivating interviews, and the latest news from the agriculture community. Contact advertising at realagriculture.com or call 587-787-1795 to book your on location with RealAg Radio today.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio. Today's Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. We start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire in New Liskeard, Ontario. We're joined by Chuck Amyot. Chuck, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me on, Sean.
Yeah, it's great to chat with you. So you farm in Northern Ontario, and for some people that have never been to that region, the climate is actually more like Western Canada than it really is like in Wellington County. So what kind of crops are you growing?
So we grow typical spring grains, so wheat, oats, barley, some soybeans, canola. So again, a lot more similar to Western Canada than you would see in Southern Ontario, where there's more corn and soybeans grown.
Now, how long has your family been farming in New Liskeard?
I'm actually a first-generation farmer in New Liskeard. So farming in New Liskeard, I've only been farming since 2011. And
did you farm somewhere else before that?
In Eastern Ontario, yes.
Oh, so okay. So how is the move to Northern Ontario? How has that been for you?
It's been great. Northern Ontario is a pretty welcoming place. It's a pretty good place to raise kids. So the community has been really good. It has brought its challenges as far as frost is at a different time than you would normally get it in more southern regions, but through a learning curve, it's been really good, and we're pretty happy with the whole decision altogether.
Yeah, well, and like you said, I hear that list of crops, you might as well be farming in Weyburn.
That's right. It is, but it's we do grow some soybeans, and they are starting to be a pretty profitable crop. There is corn being grown here now, with the shorter varieties and such. But again, the spring grains seem to be the dominant crop here.
How do the crops look this year?
We're low on moisture, so we're falling behind a little bit as far as emergence and where we're at. We definitely are drier than we would like to be, but all around we put it in good conditions, and we're hoping for a few timely rains, and things will be on track from then.
Yeah. So like right now on the farm, what's kind of going on? What are you working on?
Well, right now there's tile drainage going on. We do a lot of tile drainage in our area. Anything that's not tiled is not really farmable. So that's really what's taken over now. But as far as crop planting, pretty much everything's wrapped up here.
That's good. So you're like, why the requirement to do tile drainage?
Well, we never usually have a moisture issue here, or when we do have a moisture issue, it's too much of it. And the tile drainage lowers our water table to a point where, just makes it a better environment for root growth. And, we're on fields probably 3 to 4 weeks earlier than we would be if we didn't have the tile drainage. So that makes a big difference when you have 100-day growing degrees, or growing days, as opposed to some other regions where they might have 150 to 200 days between frosts, right?
Yeah. So how quickly do you think it pays for itself, Chuck?
Calculations within 5 years.
Wow. That not a lot of things get a return like that in 5 years. So that's pretty awesome.
That's right. It's the cheapest thing, or it's not the cheapest thing, but it's the it's the most profitable thing we can do for the farm.
Yeah, very cost effective. Very cost effective. Huh. Interesting. Okay, of those crops that you got on the ground this year, which one are you the most you're the most pleased with?
They're all falling behind a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got some good looking winter wheat in our area, so winter wheat's looking pretty good. It could use again a timely rain to definitely use that moisture, but it's looking pretty good, and we're pretty excited about the potential wheat that we're going to harvest this summer. You know,
it's interesting. Like, a lot of dry bias for different parts of the country for sure. In the southwest corner of Ontario, there's a lot of talk about too dry, and yes. You're saying the same thing. It seems like majority of the province is feeling like Mother Nature could cooperate here a little bit.
That's right. We're not panicking yet. We are still in early June, but we definitely could use a timely rain. We are definitely drier than we normally are. It's not looking great on the 14-day forecast. We will be getting a little bit of moisture, but we could definitely use it. So, typical year where if we have too much rain, we complain. If we don't have enough, we complain. And this year we're complaining about not enough. So
yeah, haven't dialed back the yield expectations yet, but it's Mother Nature's got to kick in here fairly shortly to give yourself a real shot at it, right?
That's right.
Yeah. How about from a marketing perspective? You got that sorted out?
Yes. So we do have that figured out. We should have sold more when the prices were a little better, but that's always hindsight's 2020. So
yeah, have you aggressively sold this 23 crop?
Yes. So most of it is marketed, and because we don't anticipate we'll tell you in December what we should have done in September.
Well, don't beat yourself up. Come on. Be nice to yourself.
That's right.
Hey, Chuck, this week we're asking all of our farmers a question. There's been a lot of talk in the mainstream media about Canadians have been changing their grocery buying habits, even at a time of food price increases. If you think back past few months, as your household, have you changed at all grocery buying habits, like where you're shopping from, deals you're looking for, stuff like that?
Well, we definitely are looking for better deals. We definitely see our grocery bill has probably doubled over the last 3 years. So we definitely are making a little more budget conscious decisions. But to be honest, we haven't really changed our diet to eat more oatmeal as opposed to steak. We're hoping to stay afloat this way, but definitely it's a concern every time we do go to the grocery store, and I can imagine it's the same for most other families.
Well, Chuck, this is your first time on the Farmer Rapid Fire. I really, really appreciate it, and looking forward to our next chat later on in the growing season.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
When we come back on RealAg Radio, we're going to continue the Farmer Rapid Fire. And up next, we're stopping in Norfolk, Ontario. We're talking to Dan Petker. You're listening to RealAg Radio, brought to you today by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Did you know that Pioneer now has a full lineup of Enlist E3 soybeans? Take a look at Pioneer brand Enlist E3 soybeans for the highest yield potential and for the best agronomic package and herbicide trait options. From the lab to the field, Pioneer brand Enlist E3 soybeans are the best in beans, period. Ask your local Pioneer representative about Enlist E3 beans.
As you head out into the field this season, the Corn School's got you covered. Everything from tillage discussions, weed control info, field trial results, yield strategies, and more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF. Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from RealAgriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin, host of the Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com. Throughout the year, on the Soybean School, we'll bring you timely agronomic video content from planting to harvest, from the latest agronomic research to the latest in production technology. Check out our massive video library on YouTube, RealAgriculture.com, or download the audio podcast versions wherever you get your podcasts. The Soybean School is brought to you by Pride Seeds, BASF, and Syngenta Canada.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio and the Farmer Rapid Fire, which is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. We continue the Farmer Rapid Fire. This time we're stopping in Norfolk, Ontario, and we're talking to Dan Petker. Dan, how are we doing on this Thursday?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, so we've been hearing a lot of complaints, some concern, some people trying not to jump to too many conclusions, but how are you in this dry, bias kind of situation?
Yeah, I think most of the Eastern North America kind of group is. The amazing thing is with our min-till or our reduced tillage stuff, like stuff is still or germinating and growing. I mean, a rain would be amazing, but we'll see what comes next week.
Yeah. When you look at the crop, are you? I would imagine the winter wheat is what's really feeling the impacts at this time.
Yeah, and, oddly enough, so we actually went and sprayed our fusarium fungicide on it in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And when I walk this crop, it's short, but the grain heads are big, so I still have actually have good hope for it because it went in so well. Yeah, I see big cracks in the clay, in the soil, but I don't know. It may surprise us. It won't be a bumper crop, but it will be for us better than what we had last year.
Yeah, and on the corn and soybeans, we have time is still our friend. We're not
totally.
Yeah, we're concerned, but we're not like, hey, you know what, give up, it's over. That would be an incredibly foolish attitude at this point.
The weird thing is, excuse me, I drove a little bit north of me yesterday, and so there's this thing called the Norfolk Sand Plain, which is like tobacco, ginseng, and sand. And I saw my first field of corn. It was probably 5 leaf, and it was already twisting. And I really don't know what happens to corn. I guess we can come back from it. Experience of what we watch in the U.S. happens. If we do get a timely rain, there's lots of time to make yield or preserve yield. So we have to have hope. Yeah.
So, but not to minimize the issue, but besides the dry concern, what else is on your mind agronomically right now as you look at this crop?
Weed control. I see a lot of dirty cornfields. I see a lot of people have a step back from it. The spring was perfect for putting a lot of pre's or residuals down. I see a lot of dirty fields, like corn. A lot of soybeans are dirty, and my big concern is late season applications of dicamba. To be honest, I'm already looking that far. We'll see.
Yeah. So why do you think the dirty fields exist? People trying to grab it in one flush, or what?
Well, that or it was so dry for May down here. Everyone assumes that residuals don't work if there's no moisture at all. There is research out of University of Guelph and Ridgetown showing that they do work even in dry seasons, like 50 to 80% control rather than the 90 we expect. So you just see this late first pass, I guess. And that means it's going to be a delayed second pass. And without a residual herbicide, a lot of these weeds like water hemp and fleabane are going to require certain herbicides we should not be spraying in July.
We were talking to Ted Seifert of Zanerag Hedge about the markets on Wednesday's show. And he made the comment that, this is the riskiest corn crop that we've ever planted. From a input cost standpoint and some of the trials and tribulations of the market. I'm hearing some you're agreeing with that statement.
Well, it's funny when I talk with friends or peers, and peers, I'll say, I'm surprised at how many people did not market any corn going into the spring. Secure your positions if you know kind of where your expenses are at and just move forward. I know some guys who have not marketed anything, and that's a huge mistake. And I guess you can't go back in time and fix it, but it's interesting. I'm actually surprised. Like, I just got some UAN quotes, and they're less now than what they were 6 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like, I'm really happy with it, and I guess I'll do like a cost per bushel or like some sort of comparative tonight, and see where we're at and see what kind of percents we run. But I don't know. Did everyone think that $8 and $9 and $10 corn was the new norm? Because it's not.
I don't mean to scare you, but
yeah.
But he talked about corn on that December contract having a 3 handle in front of it.
Oh yeah, that's not a surprise. And the thing is, we look at some of the cornfields now, but why wouldn't you? Like, the corn looks good. We all have crop insurance, so why aren't we playing some of this marketing to sell some of this crop and secure a position at least?
Do you do it with production contracts, or are you using options? How are you managing it on your farm?
Oh, I'm using production. I'm not good enough for options. I could probably hire somebody to help me with that. But right now it's just having a firm grasp of what we spend, what kind of money we need to have, and selling towards that.
Are you big into having that budget and following it through the year? Like, you talked about UAN quote for now compared to weeks ago. Like, are you big into monitoring some of that financial aspect of it throughout the growing season?
There's some guys who are shop guys, and there's some guys who love Excel, and I'm kind of part of that Excel group. I follow it like a lot, and but once I make my purchase, I don't ask for a new price or try to see where the market has gone, because I'm already committed. And my mom and dad years ago have said to me, like, when you sign a contract, just make a note and you put on the top of that contract, at the time, this was a good decision. Because you can't have regrets about it. You can just learn from it. And so I'm always watching, but just that is kind of, we're always kind of manipulating a little bit.
It's a good attitude, though, because
it eats you up if you keep kind of looking back and living with regret.
Well, on any decision,
amen.
Right? You're like the probability that you always make the right decision, extremely low. Okay. Even the smartest people in the world will say there's high rates of failure. It's the old baseball. You can go to the Hall of Fame and
we celebrate failure in baseball.
Exactly.
A 300 hitter. Holy smokes, amazing.
And if you're constantly reflecting on, I should have done this, should have done that, or what was I thinking? Now you can learn from what led to that decision, but there's a really good book I learned about decision making. It's written by Annie Duke, who's I think she's a former poker player, and she talks about how people too many times judge their decision making based on the outcome instead of the process of what led them to the decision in the first place, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. So you feeling pretty optimistic about the year ahead then for the 23 crop? Even I like it.
Isn't that what we do as farming or as farmers? Like, live with optimism, and just the despair can come later on.
I love it. Any big plans for summer?
Yeah, go see my brother in Montreal, with my family, and we're hoping to go see the East Coast. So if there's any farmers in the East Coast, we want to be there in August sometime. Nice.
Well, East Coast hospitality, that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we've never gone, but everyone says it changes your life.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. I'm planning to I got to go do an event in PI in September. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It will be good. Hey, Dan, this week's question has to do with groceries. There's been a lot made as of late that Canadians are spending actually less per capita on groceries, even with some of the food price inflation that's going on. Have you changed at all your household grocery buying habits at all here as of late?
No. Well, no, and it's just, I guess, from my past when I was a cook, I always shopped at it doesn't sound crass, but like Asian food markets. So we always found cheap. because it's always cheaper than, Metro or Sobeys or Superstore. And so we just, veggie heavy and smart use of protein and just find deals.
Nice stuff. Hey, Dan, thanks so much for joining us here this week on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you, and we'll chat with you later on in the growing season.
That worked great. Thanks, man.
We'll be right back on RealAg Radio with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
ABJ Agri-Products is North America's exclusive distributor for air bubble jets and easy jets. These sprayer nozzles reduce the number of driftable droplets and at the same time maintain a uniform droplet size, primarily between 300 and 400 micron, ensuring more even dispersion of your chemical products, providing reduced drift and increased plant coverage. Let us help improve your spraying operation by visiting abjagra.com. That's abjagri.com.
Whether you're seeding, harvesting, or anything in between, the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com has you covered. Timely agronomic information from industry experts available online anytime. Give your wheat crop a good start and a great finish with the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com. Brought to you by C&M Seeds, Syngenta Canada, and the Alberta Wheat and Barley Commission.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. We continue the Farmer Rapid Fire. This time we are in Penhold, Alberta. We're talking to Wade McAllistair. Hey, Wade, how's it going?
Hey, good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very, very good. Okay, Wade, what are the crop conditions like there in Penhold, just outside of Red Deer?
Well, I'm actually currently out scouting right now, Shaun, and no, everything's looking pretty good. We're going to need a rain here right away. I'm digging down a solid 3 inches just to find moisture now. So crops look great, but they're going to start going backwards here pretty quick if we don't get the rain that they were forecasting this weekend. We're supposed to get like 1.5 inches, and now they've backed it off to 5 mils. So yeah, we'll see. But as of right now, everything's looking good.
Yeah, like if from you south, it's very dry across the whole region, it seems. It is,
and you don't have to go very far east either to get into some stuff that's not even germinating. Like, all our stuff germinated, but you don't have to go very far east, and there's still canola that hasn't even left the surface yet.
Yeah, and in the forecast, you mentioned going from 1.5 inches to 5 mils. That seems to be what's kind of been happening here is rain is forecasted 5 to 7 days out, and it just kind of keeps on getting pushed back. Like, we had 3 days here in Lethbridge of some pretty cloud. You think it was going to rain, and there's 3 drops that fall. Seems to be a bit of the pattern right now.
It is. It's going to be those isolated thunderstorms, right? Where there's going to be some lucky guys in a small area that get a good dump, and there's going to be guys that, like you said, just get a mill. So I just hope I'm under one of those good ones. I just hope it's not like last August where we got decimated with hail. So that's going to be the scary part, I think, this year with the heat is the hail again, right? So
what about the weed pressure?
Weeds, because it's so dry, there's nothing. Like, it's even wild oats. I'm having trouble finding wild oats. I mean, there's the odd weed in between the row, but just because it's been so dry, no, they're really clean.
So you trust
it's almost like, why are we spraying?
Yeah, but I was just going to ask you, not spraying though, boy, you got to be super you can't, your eyes can fool you.
Yeah, I know. You can't not spray, because that just creates problems for next year too, if you do get some weeds that get away from you. But maybe it's not going out and spraying the expensive axial. Maybe it's cutting back on a chemical just because maybe it's okay to let the odd wild oat escape on you. But but you don't want to not spray.
Yeah. From a marketing standpoint, we've seen a lot of pressure on the commodity markets. Has that got you kind of a little bit of a tail trying to figure out what to do there?
it does for sure. I'm just watching them close and not getting. I don't know what the year's going to be like, so I don't know how much I'm going to price, forward price. So I got a little bit locked in, but yeah, it's definitely. I mean, those prices that we've seen 2 years ago. I mean, that's not normal. That's not sustainable. So I think we're going back to say the normal. But yeah, it's definitely tough to see that 20 plus canola disappear. But like I said, those aren't normal prices. Fertilizer inputs have come down a wee bit. So they kind of follow the trend of where commodity prices go anyway. So yeah, but no, there's still a long way to go, and you just do what you can, and yeah. Every year's different. That's the fun part.
Well, that is for sure. Have you? Right. Are you out of all your old crop, your 22 crop?
Yes, we are. Like I said, that hailstorm really hurt us last year. So we didn't have a lot of crop, right? So, but no, it's. I got a tiny little bit of barley left. That's. It's scheduled for pickup, but they just haven't got it yet. But no, everything else has been sold. But like I said, we didn't have much anyway.
And
it was a pretty easy winter for us.
Well, yeah, you had lots of time to get some shop work done. Unfortunately, if what enabled that. And you're in a belt there where, like you mentioned, hail. That is like prime. Like you've seen some big crops over the year be just decimated. So hail's always on your mind.
Oh, for sure it is. I mean, we're definitely in the hail belt here, anywhere from kind of that old, kind of straight up the Pinoca area. Definitely the hail region. The early hail, like we even got hail this year, May 22nd. We had some barley that was just coming out of the ground, that 1-2 leaf, and it just decimated it. Which crazy, like May 22nd, and we're getting P plus marble size hail, and the ground was just covered. Came down for a good 10-15 minutes.
Really?
And but I mean it's so early in the year that it's not going to really hurt anything, right?
Very odd.
It all came back, but it delayed it a bit. But yeah, that August 1st storm last year, that's a horrible time to get hail. And especially crop is one thing, but when it starts damaging your buildings and your yard and vehicles, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. One of the things that's taken up a lot of discussion is some of the fires and stuff like that. And Alberta's definitely been dealing with that. One of the things that you've been doing is trying to get some stuff done on the farm, but you've also been flying helicopter trying to fight some of the fires. Talk about what you're doing there and that experience.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to have my brother help me on the farm here. He does a lot of the spraying, or all the spraying, I should say. I do all the seeding. He does all the spraying. So that allows me to take off in the summer and just kind of be a relief pilot for a company out of Rocky Mountain House. So I was up in Drayton actually on that fire kind of about a week after it lit up, and I was up doing heli support there for a few days, and then I was out in Rocky Mountain House, Nordegg area last week for 4 days, and then I go back out tomorrow just to help out. So yeah, flying forestry crew around, bucketing water, putting out hot spots, and just trying to keep everything under control. They're in the same situation as us, right? Like no rain, ground's dry. We're getting these lightning storms come through that are the dry lightning that doesn't have a rain come behind it, and it's a little scary. We're seeing 30, 31 degrees out there in the area that I'm flying tomorrow. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
From a water standpoint, does the helicopter provide just more precision in using a helicopter versus say like a water bomber?
It is, yeah. We're definitely not dropping the volume that a water bomber can, but our turnaround time is a lot quicker. So we can pick up out of a small creek, a beaver dam. I mean, small bodies of water. Whereas the water bombers, they've got to fly back to an airport to put the retardant back on. So we can keep everything kind of from getting out of control with the helicopter. But we're definitely not dropping the volume of water that they are. But yeah, you're right. It's more precise drops. It's putting out those trees that are flaring up or kenneling up, hot spots, and just keeping it under control. But the water bombers are definitely the ones that are doing majority of the work. But when we fly to a fire and we're first on scene, I mean, that's the critical point. I got 4 guys with me, drop them off, put the bucket on, and just start hammering off that little fire before it kind of gets into a big one.
When you're doing that that crew, taking crew around or doing some of the water bombing, what is a shift? Is it like an 8 hour? Like, are you like, what does that shift look like?
We can legally with Transport Canada, with the CARS regulation, we can do a 14-hour duty day. So most of our days are 12 to 14 hours.
That's a lot of flying.
That's a lot of flying. And I don't fly. I mean, it'd be nice to fly that long, but a good flying shift, just with the way everything works, is it's 6 to 8 hours a day in the helicopter, actually in the air. That's a massive day. I mean, that's like a solid 16 hours in a drill seating. Like it's more the mental, right? It's not so much. It's just the mental drain that you're doing. I mean, you're doing very precision stuff. It's dangerous stuff. You're picking water up. You're flying crews around. You're going into very tight landing spots. Just lots and lots of risks. So yeah, your mind is always just, it's definitely overworked.
Yeah, I was just going to make that comparison. I'm glad you hit on that. That there is a mental side to that, being sharp, because if you're not,
stuff can happen so quick. Quick.
Well, stay safe out there for sure, Wade. Hey, Wade, we wanted to. We're asking all the farmers a common question this week. It has to do with grocery buying. We've seen some different trends happening in Canada. Have in your household, have you guys changed at all your grocery buying habits? Where you buy from, how you do it, that kind of stuff?
We're not, Shaun. My wife does all the grocery shopping. We support the local co-op here in town. No, we haven't changed at all. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we're supporting myself, right? So the farmers, for all that they do. But no, we haven't changed anything. You still got to eat healthy. You can't change your diet. So no, we haven't. No, we haven't. Nothing's changed for us. But we're also fortunate, I guess, where we don't have to. But I definitely, I think that there are some out there for sure that have changed their buying habits and stuff, but but no, we've kept it the same.
Great stuff, Wade. Hey, thanks so much for making time available for us here today, and what you're doing with trying to help combat some of the wildfires in Alberta, and hopefully some rain comes, not just for those fires, but also for your crop. So thanks a lot, Wade.
I know. Yeah, you bet. No worries, man. Take care.
We've got more coming up here on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this.
Join us for the Canadian Beef Industry Conference, August 15th to 17th at Calgary, Alberta. Spend time networking on the trade show floor, hear from keynote speakers, take in breakout sessions designed to increase profit, manage your rangeland, and navigate trends. Get up close to advanced techniques and hands-on demos, and experience bullfighting at the closing party. Proud, innovative, and loyal, we are beef. Registration is now open. Visit CanadianBeefIndustryConference.com for full details and to register.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit CanolaSchool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio and the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. We continue the Farmer Rapid Fire. This time we are in Saskatchewan, and we're talking right now to Tamara Carter. She is in Lacadena, Saskatchewan. Tamara, how's it going?
Shaun, it's going really, really well today. How are things out your way?
Well, we could use a little bit of rain. How about you?
Well, I just drove actually to Calgary on Monday and Tuesday, and I was quite surprised at how dry things were through that alley kind of coming along Highway 564. We're actually really blessed this year. After about 7 years of low precipitation, we are finally getting some regular rains, up to half inch at a time, and the pastures are responding. The trees, the crops, everything looks way better. It's helping with everybody's mood, optimism, mental health, for sure.
Yeah, for you, that's got to be a kind of a relief and a bit of a change. It allows you to sort of maybe think about your business a little bit differently in the sense of not having to. You're still obviously always thinking about, will we have enough moisture? But it sort of takes a little bit of a load off, does it not?
Yeah, you're right, Shaun. It really relieves some of the really urgent pressures, and certainly we're still thinking about, will we have feed for the cattle herd? But we're hopeful now that the timing of the rains will help too, and that the hay might actually be a little more productive this year, and hopefully we'll have some homegrown stuff, and we might not have to outsource from other operators further away that aren't in these dry areas.
How did calving season go?
Really well, actually. We're just more or less wrapped up. We've got a couple of stragglers here left, but we had some of that cold weather, the minus 30s. We had a few really tense nights where nobody slept, but we actually had a really good season. So we're happy of that too. The cows are just out at pasture now, and they're enjoying the lush green grass.
So the spring cold that you just mentioned, that minus 30 degrees Celsius, your losses weren't too bad?
No. Actually, and farmers and ranchers, we tend to be kind of superstitious. So we didn't speak of it at all while it was unfolding. But normally, you might have losses of 5 or 10%. And we didn't lose any. As I say, it was because it was all hands on deck. It was very intense management, checking every couple of hours, and had calves, little cold calves, and we did find them, quickly brought in and warmed up. And we were really, really happy and grateful that things worked out as well as they did.
Have you had your branding?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Just wrapped that up.
Fun. Do you make kind of a big event of it for the weekend, or do you sort of do it low key?
Yeah, we used to do a great big event, and over the past many years, we've dialed that back a bit. So we do it in a couple smaller batches. So instead of doing 300 head one day and having all the neighbors over to help and assist, we break it down now into several smaller groups. And we kind of, I don't know if you're familiar, that sort of that Cypress Hills kind of grazing calving method where you're moving the animals that have not yet calved onto fresh pasture. So you've got age groups that are kind of consistent together. So we do all the early ones in one group, and then 4 weeks later we'll do another group. So it's working out really well for us.
Based on this year's calf crop, you're looking at kind of what feeder cattle have been worth. And you got some rain, you got some grass, so feeling pretty good about the things right now?
Yeah, very optimistic right now. The markets are good. There's strong demand for beef. I'm always kind of watching, Shaun, the global situation and big picture. So although we're very excited and optimistic about our local situation, and still exports are very strong, I still wonder if we're facing headwinds here in the future, as far as, when you see headlines like Ireland hoping to cull 200,000 dairy cattle over the next couple of years to try to line up their climate initiatives and contributions that they're trying to do by 2030, and same thing in the Netherlands, closing farms. So that makes me a little bit uneasy. I wonder when that might come to Canadian markets with a little bit more pressure.
Do you think it actually ever could, or like? I guess if it's happening in places like the Netherlands and Ireland, never say never. Boy, would there be pushback. I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah. You and I both. I still think we've got a lot of opportunity to help spread the message about, the great benefits of raising cattle on grass, and how many animals actually start their lives on grass and are part of the climate solution when it comes to grazing on native grasslands or doing regenerative agriculture, things like that. And I still see a huge opportunity there, and I think most people that are removed from the industry really don't have any idea what the good benefits are.
Like, Tamara, we've got a supply issue. Like you mentioned the supply issue in the cattle markets right now. We're having a hard time rebuilding this herd. I could not imagine if there was a policy where it's like, oh, by the way, we're going to reduce the herd by 20%. That man, that would just be a very strange conversation. But sadly, never say never. So.
No, I'm with you there. I would like to believe that it would never happen, but I've been surprised by a lot of policy things in the last 5 years. So I also will never say never.
Yeah. Speaking of rebuilding the herd, based on how things are setting up in front of us for the rancher, and you're in an area that does have a little bit more grass than you're used to the past 6 or 7 years, you thinking about retaining some more heifers this year?
We always retain a certain amount. I don't know that we want to increase our numbers just because 1 year of rainfall doesn't necessarily turn things around that quickly. So will we retain some? Absolutely. But I'm not looking at this as a year of, building up numbers by any really significant amount.
So wait to see if spring of 24 brings some maybe 2 years in a row of moisture before you get too far out ahead of yourself is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. Cautious, pragmatic. Yeah. Well,
you listen, in the cow-calf sector, you have to be that, right?
I think so. Yep. It's normally a very tight margin business, so you've got to be on your toes.
Agreed very, very much. Tamara, we're asking all the farmers and ranchers this week a question about some of their grocery buying habits. For you in the past number of months, have you changed any of your grocery buying habits with some of the food prices that we've seen?
I don't know that we've changed it that much. We're watching for sales a little bit more. We're really fortunate that, when you do farm and ranch, you can keep a sack of lentils back or, get ambitious and grind your own wheat or durum if so inclined. And being able to have our own supply of beef, of course, is always appreciated. Yeah, it's more just a matter of looking for timely sales. I don't think, we're eating quite as much store-bought, lettuce and things like that. We're growing that in our own garden. Certainly we planted a much bigger garden this year than normal, so we'll be busy out there hoeing the rows.
Fun. Hey, Tamara, thanks so much for joining us this week on the Farmer Rapid Fire. Really appreciate it.
You bet, Sean. You have a good week.
And we finish up this week's Farmer Rapid Fire with Derwyn Hammond. He's an area agronomist with Pioneer Seeds Canada in Western Manitoba. Hey, Derwyn, how's it going?
Really good. Glad to be on the show today.
Yeah, it's great to have Pioneer Seeds Canada as the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Really do appreciate that. Okay, so you're in Brandon. How do crops look around in that area?
I would say around the area, seeding seems pretty much wrapped up. Still a few acres going in the ground this week. Even a few plots of mine still going in. It's been really variable. A lot of our moisture's been of the thunder shower variety. So, one area getting 2 inches and not far away getting barely any. And so, we've got some lighter texture soils where guys had to chase moisture a bit and, seeing that have an impact on emergence in a few cases, and then some areas that were delayed a bit by wet conditions. So lots of variability. Generally speaking, most areas have gotten enough moisture that I think, we're going to have decent crop establishment as far as getting it out of the ground and getting it started. So.
Yeah, and we've quickly shifted into more what you would describe as kind of summertime temperatures here. Definitely something to keep in mind when we're thinking about controlling flea beetles or cutworms via spraying.
Yeah, for sure. We've had a lot of questions about both on the insecticide and the herbicide front. Hearing a bit of activity for flea beetles and seeing some cutworms in some areas. So definitely time to be out scouting for them. And when it comes to the insecticides, high temperatures tend to reduce the efficacy a little bit. But the other thing it does, heat is a big driver for the metabolism in the insects, and that helps them kind of metabolize that product and may help them kind of grow through that insecticide application in some cases, and just higher survival rates and a bit of reduced efficacy. So if we can avoid spraying in the heat of the afternoon, it can really help. Especially for cutworms, late evening is the ideal time. They're coming up to the soil surface or up onto the foliage, depending on the species, to feed. And so a lot more opportunity to get some efficacy if we spray later in the evening.
Yeah, this is one of those where we need to, there's ways to be really efficient. You need to park that and think about effectiveness, because you're not going to regret it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're feeling pressed that you don't have time to get the spraying done, you probably don't have time to get it done twice either. And so doing a more effective job the first time over in a lot of cases is gonna pay more dividends in the long run. So yeah. And seeing that crossover herbicides as well, we had around here, lots of wind and sustained winds overnight during the planting window. So lots of guys weren't able to get that pre-emergent burn off done. And now, again, they feel pressed for time, but, those plants really tend to shut down. Both the crop and the weeds will tend to shut down in those temperatures above. You get up into the mid 30s. And so, anything above 30 for sure, you probably want to take a break in those hot afternoons. You're not going to get the efficacy on the weeds because the uptake's not going to be as rapid. And on the crop side, the tolerance often comes from some metabolism of those products. So if the crop shut down, there's more opportunity for crop injury from that. And definitely surfactant burn is often a lot worse in those high temperature situations. And if you're in dry and hot, that's even more of a concern.
Yeah, and every year is different. And one of the other things we've seen this year compared to the 22 crop is, obviously in Manitoba for sure, a lot of moisture in the spring of 22, maybe, and as it shifted to warmer temperatures, hid some of the mistakes. This year, some of the challenges on seed depth has shown itself, especially in that corn crop.
Yeah, definitely. Just out scouting a plot here just northwest of Brandon, and definitely seeing not a situation with not enough downforce, and the difference of even half an inch on that planting depth. Got some nice V3 plants well established, and then you got some seed stranded, and that's not gonna grow. It sprouted from a rain and then lost that moisture from all the heat we've had, and it sprouted and it's not going to make it. And then you've got some that are late emergers that are probably a couple leaves behind. That finally came when we got that rain. So just that variability it's an opportunity to, if you see that in your fields, get out, scout, figure out what happened and why, and learning for next year starts already as far as but that learning only happens if you capture some notes. So whether you're a notebook in the shirt pocket guy or you've adapted to one of the apps on your phone, capturing in that field what you think was going on and take a note of it to make some improvements for next year is always important.
Great advice. Just don't do what I do. Write it on loose pieces of paper. Carry those loose pieces of paper around for a while and then end up losing them all at the end of the day anyway. So don't do that. Don't be Shaun.
No, have a dedicated notebook. If you're the old school notebook guy, have a dedicated notebook and keep tabs on it for sure.
Great stuff. Hey, Derwyn, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Have yourself a great rest of your weekend. We'll chat with you again soon here. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Shaun. Appreciate it.
If you have any feedback on today's program, we'd love to hear from you. Send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com, or you can call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. Big thanks to our sponsor, the Farmer Rapid Fire, Pioneer Seeds Canada. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio. We'll chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.